Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
In the Season 10 Championship, everything is still up for grabs. Nadav Yaron and John Chico may lead in the points, but that's only for now. Will other names move their way up to the top of the charts to challenge the old guard, or will old favorites continue to dominate? We'll all get those answers soon as we get ready to watch rounds 3 and 4 of the iRacing Israel League live here on Apex Racing TV. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the commentary booth by Dane Baird with our director and producer Luis Araya behind the scenes. And Dane, today we stay in the United Kingdom, making the shift from the old guard, as it were, in the forms of Brands Hatch, to the modern, up-to-date, and very, very quick facility of Silverstone. These cars are going to be pretty familiar around here, but how will they handle?
Well, it's going to be a very interesting second round of this season. Thank you, DJ. And yeah, the GT3 cars, we ran them back in Season 5, so literally half of the series' lifetime ago. But they have been through many, many changes since then. Most recently, the new season update for iRacing has completely shifted how the GT3s handle. So I don't think any practice that anybody's done up until those last couple of weeks has actually made any difference, because these cars are completely new beasts. And we've got drivers in pretty much every one of the GT3 cars that were available to them as well. We've got Audis out there, Lamborghinis, Porsches, McLarens. We've got every single GT3 out on offer. So brilliant showing from all of the drivers, and I cannot wait to see what we get at Silverstone. It's historically, especially in this series, always been a fantastic place for some racing.
Yeah, it's always an absolutely wonderful place to see a race, no matter what kind of car you put out on the track. And speaking of cars out on the track right now, we are in the midst of a 2-lap solo qualifying session for all of the drivers. Over 8 minutes here you have to put in the time, and we are able to flick through the field there, and you can see the different makes and models that we have. Here's Bertie Galili working his way around down the Wellington Straight, getting ready to work his way through the corners. This is potentially an overtaking opportunity on the circuit, but it's also one with plenty of fight back, where drivers who are getting overtaken are going to be able to do a little bit of responsiveness. And, well, that's really kind of the story around this Silverstone circuit. It's one of the reasons that it is so great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, pretty much all of the corners that you consider overtaking opportunities are left, right, or right, left. You've got places where you can switch back. In the case of one of the main overtaking opportunities, you've got Stowe at the end of the hangar straight near the end of the circuit. You can get a switch back through there. If you're on the outside getting sent up the inside, you can pretty much always cut back or even hold it around the outside. It's a very good circuit for that kind of racing, the side-by-side action or getting back at the driver he was trying to overtake you. And yeah, it really does always promote some really good racing around here, especially on the first couple of laps. It's quite a wide circuit as well, so it helps the drivers keep it a little bit cleaner than at some of the other circuits that we have visited already in this season and will be visiting later on as well.
Yeah, it certainly will. Definitely a lot more room to pass, a lot more room to maneuver as compared to Brands Hatch last time out. Here is Yossi Gabe, though, working his way down out of Woodcut and down into Cops, the old pit lane, as we still call it. We ride on board right now with the Lamborghini driver. Getting onto the throttle there out of Cops. Let's stay on board with him here, and let's see how he's able to handle the ever-tricky section of Maggots and Beckett's. It through there nice and easy. Now coming around here through Beckett's, got to get onto the throttle well. Maybe a little bit late getting on that loud pedal, but able to get it nice and easy, and he'll get a good run here down the hangar straight. Waiting for the first times to come onto the board. This Lamborghini, always one to be known as a pretty quick car, but can be a little bit fidgety. You see a little bit of oversteer there that had to be corrected mid-corner. The car has a lot of rotation, but it can come back to bite you very easily.
Yeah, mid-engine car. It's got an identical chassis to the Audi R8 that we see out on the circuit as well elsewhere in other drivers' hands. But yeah, this car, it likes to turn all the time. You got front engine cars that maybe don't like to turn ever, and then you got the rear engine cars that like to turn a bit too much in the braking zones, but the mid engine cars, they always like to turn, and it can be a bit of a handful through some of the mid-speed corners where you never really know how much it's going to give you. And then also this circuit poses a couple of new challenges too, because up until fairly recently, you were able to take a lot more curbs than you're able to take now. Now, if you go four wheels onto the curb, that's it. That's your lap time invalidated in qualifying in the race. You'll get a 1x for it, possibly even a slowdown penalty too. So the drivers have an extra thing that they've got to be worried about. They cannot afford to get all four wheels over the white line, whereas historically it's always been the curb. So another little curveball thrown at the drivers, but they seem to be handling it pretty well. 7 drivers up on the board already. Make that 8 as we get another driver up there.
Yeah, it's on Levi working his way up into 8th place. John Chico currently leads the charts right now by about a half a second up at the top of the marks. Sherlin Gabe has said into Sony, rounding out your top 5. We take a look here at Mark Zubarev in, I believe, the lone McLaren in the field as he brings his way onto the start-finish straight off from Mizzou's able to jump up into 8th. And, well, it looks like there, Dane, that Zubarev picked up one of those pesky off-tracks that you were talking about, an invalidated lap there for the 030.
Yep, crosses the line, no lap time up onto the board, has to go around again. And Silverstone being a long circuit, you can see the fastest lap time is barely under 2 minutes. So yeah, that 8-minute counter for the qualifying session, if you weren't on it on your out lap and your first lap, you got to get a move on, otherwise you might not make it all the way back around to finish your second flying lap. But I just would like to say that 030 car for Zubarev, the McLaren, brilliant livery on that one. As we see now one of the Mercedes, the AMG GT3 cars. They updated the Evo 2020 version in the simulator now as well, which has been updated since the last time we ran these cars in this series. You can see the nice new front of the car. I do quite like the look of the Mercedes car. I don't quite like how it handles being a front engine car. It doesn't turn the way I'd like it to, a little bit boaty almost, but a lovely looking car indeed. And happy with that session, or not able to get the Mercedes pulling off to the end out of turn 1.
Yeah, pulling off to the end there out of turn 1. And here's another front-engine car as that is Avram Papachado able to move his way up into P2. But this is another front-engine car for Aiden Shear, one of the BMWs here. Similar handling characteristics as the Mercedes, as it is a front-engine car. A little bit understeery through the corners. You got to really kind of chuck it on into the corners to really get a good lap time. But it's working well in the hands of Shear. It's also working well in the hands of Michael Sherling, who currently has a BMW in P3. Looks like here at this point that the Audis and the BMWs are the favored car by the majority of the series, as now we watch Nadav Yaron bringing that car around, a similar liveried BMW out of Woodcut and down into Cops. See how he's able to handle this. A dab of the brakes going into the corner there, and he'll be able to bring it on here into Maggots and Beckett's.
Yeah, very, very tricky part of the circuit. You can make or lose a lot of time on your qualifying lap here, or just invalidate it completely, because this is one of the best places you can pick up one of those 1x off tracks that will invalidate your lap time. Nice onto the power there. Takes a good amount of curb, not too much. There's a couple big bumps there at the exit of Chapel. but didn't take any of those. So it looks like he should have a good run down this hangar straight in towards Stowe. One of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit because of a really long curved braking zone. You can really throw it up the inside if you get alongside.
Yeah, you certainly can, and you're also able to fight back a little bit if it comes to that, but he's not going to be able to come to that because it is qualifying over here at Silverstone, and that means we are ready to get racing. It will be John Chico in pole position in the 0-4 machine, followed by Papasciotto, then it's Michael Scherling and Yossi Gabay in row 2. Amir has said will line up in P5, followed by Rantasoni, then it's Tomer Ventura and Ben Yosef in P8. P9 is Mark Zubrev, and Dror Last will be in 10th, Tal Stern 11th, and Offer Mazuz in 12th. 13th will be Aiden Shear, followed by Arnon Levi, then Nadav Yaron, Bertie Galili, and Yarmakov. Round out your 17-car grid. It's going to be two 20-minute races here. The first race being set by the qualifying order. The second race will feature an invert of the top 10 and then the rest of the field filing in. So very important to get a good result here in the first race as well as the second, as both provide equal number of points.
Yep, after the first round, all things square up at the top after the 2 races. 1 race win apiece for them at the front. We're getting a rolling start here at Silverstone. So they're at the entry of Stowe Corner. They don't have a lot of time to get themselves, their tires warmed up or anything like that. They're going pretty much straight into things here.
Yeah, and track temperature, not exactly the warmest out on track, so it's going to take a little bit. I would not be surprised to see these drivers really feverishly weaving back and forth as much as possible, trying to be able to get as much heat into these tires as they can. We wait right now for Michael Scherling to show up on the grid. That is the last driver here that we wait for in this field of 17. Has about 15 more seconds, and there, indeed, that Audi looks like it has popped its way onto the grid. BMW has popped its way onto the grid, and we are ready to get racing. Love to see the disparity here. We've got a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, a BMW, and another Lamborghini, and then an Audi up in your top 5. So definitely plenty of makes and models looking very quick around here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a Ferrari and a McLaren right behind as well in that left row. You've got pretty much all unique cars back all the way to the 6th row as we get ready. The pace car pulls off and the field's in the pole sitters' hands.
Yes, it is. John Chico going to lead this field around here through these last couple of corners, through Club, and then it will come on to the main straightaway, and we get ready to watch Barney the Flagman and the green flag as there goes the green, and we are racing in Silverstone. It's a pretty single-file getaway there for the most of the field as they filter their way through Club and now down the Hamilton Straight and through Abbey. And not looking like a lot of movement. A little bit of a fight there behind between Ben Yosef and Ventura, but up for the top 5 right now. It's going to be straightforward. A little bit of a look to the inside there for Yossi Gabay, but he thinks better of it on the BMW, and they'll all slot into line. Big movement there behind. That was Rantasoni getting all kinds of sideways.
Yeah, held it well and managed to get himself back into a good position to take the loop, the long left hand, a really slow hairpin at turn 4, and now down this Wellington Straight, they'll go in towards Brooklands and Luffield. We're going to see he sends up the inside here, not just yet, as they still keep themselves single file. Single file for the start, and that was because Chico went incredibly early. He was already fully on the throttle coming out of the chicane. So no one really had any time to get back into double file formation before the green flag had already been shown to them. So a very good start. I mean, you got a good advantage off of the front and in towards Cops. They'll go now to start the second half of the lap, and this is where we might start to see a couple mistakes creep in with those colder tires.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. This section of the track, a lot of lateral load being put through the tires, and if those tires are not up to temperature, you are going to find out in a very, very quick way. We did have a little bit of movement in the back. It looks like Tal Stern was able to get a move done on Arnon Levi, and that'll move Stern up into 8th place. But the front 3 in this field, Chico, Papasciotto, and Scherling, really starting to break away. Here is Arnon Levi in the BMW, working his way forward. And look at that gap there that Stern has already been able to grow, as now we've got a little bit more movement. Here's Offer Mazuz trying to hold off an attack here from Nadav Yaron.
Yeah, that gap is because you've had a little bit of an off in Cops, a bit wide, a little bit loose for one of the drivers just behind, and well, that's allowed 3 wide into Maggots Beckett's, and that's not quick is what I'm trying to get at here is, yeah, 3 wide into Maggots Beckett's and Chapel. You're not going to go through there particularly quickly, and unfortunately they've let the drivers ahead get a bit of an advantage, so those drivers now having to try and do a bit of catch up only after the first lap here.
Yeah, only after the first lap as we take a look a little farther up in the field in the battle for P2 right now. This is Avaram Papachado holding off Michael Scherling. It looks like that Lamborghini's pretty good under the binders through the slow speed section of the loop. Definitely able to gap a little bit more time. Scherling was breathing down the neck there of Papachado, and now it looks like Papachado is able to grow that gap a little bit more. It's up to about 0.7 of a second here as they run and dive their way down into Brooklands.
Yeah, Brooklands here, then Luffield, the long right-hander. It feels like it never ends. It's more than 180 degrees, and yeah, through the right-hander of Woodcott immediately afterwards. Loads of load on those left tires as they try and carry the car through that part of the circuit. There's a little bit of a dropout there for Scherling, and third. Don't want to be seeing any of that unless your name is Yossi Gabai, of course, in which case you'll very gladly take that third position. But Scherling still catching up and still keeping up with the driver in second position there. We'll see if he can catch up enough to try and make any moves.
Oh, and we just saw an Audi off in the background. I believe that was Amir Hassed getting things wrong coming through cops. But we focus right now on Rantasoni, who is chasing down Yossi Gabai. Lamborghini versus BMW here as they come out of Beckett's. Good run for Tassoni. Let's see if he's able to close down on the back of the Italian marquee ahead of him. He's certainly getting the help of the draft here, going down into Stowe. Going to try to poke his nose to the outside, but Gabai definitely covers that off, holding to the middle of the track there and really preventing a move one way or another, but that's going to be of no mind here to Rantasoni. He's going to try to go the long way around through Club, and here looks like a little bit of a defense from Gabai. If he's able to get the cutback here to Tassoni, he's not going to be able to do it, and they will stay in the same order that they came into the corner as they go out now.
Yeah, very good defensive driving there, but really good attack by Sioni. Very nearly made it through there. We'll have to regroup and try it once more. Caught me out there a bit. I was confused as to who exactly we were looking at, but Gabai not driving the bright green racing machine that we've been seeing him in for 9 seasons of the iRacing Israel League now. He's switched his colors up a bit. Maybe that's just a temporary thing, but hasn't quite got the best exit out of the loop here and could be under attack into Brooklands.
I think he is going to be under massive attack here. Tassoni thought about poking his nose to the inside earlier. Now goes for the move into Brooklands. The left-hander, let's see. You can carry more speed around the outside. Sometimes as we got a car off in front. My goodness, that was Papachado, and splitting the difference in between the two. That was a scary, scary moment.
Yeah, that was really good avoidance from the 2 drivers passing as well. Sioni's managed to get away with that one there, but yeah, I have no idea how they've managed to not clatter into the side of him. What happened here? I saw on the timing towers we were watching that Shirley moved up into second, didn't quite see that it was a spun Lamborghini that's caused it.
All right, so this is coming down into Brooklands, and there's a little bit of what we talked about earlier, just over-rotation from the Lamborghini, Dane.
Yeah, and then such an awkward situation as well. Once you're stuck there right in the middle of the racing line and you see 2 cars coming at you, what do? Do you drive forwards, drive backwards, stay where you are, and just pray that the drivers miss you? And luckily, all 3 of them seem to have got out pretty much unscathed there. Unfortunately, Sioni's managed to get away from Gabai, so we're not going to see too much more of that battle, though it was looking like a very good move up the inside into Brooklands. But yeah, Papachado now down to 6th position, so a big loss of positions there in his first round of the championship.
Well, he's now on the attack here on Tal Stern in that Mercedes up ahead. We watch Ben Yosef here trying to see what he is able to do on the back of Papachado himself. This is a 3-car battle back for 5th place right now as they come out of Club and onto the Hamilton Straight. Let's see, working this way, working that way. Not seeing a lot of movement there from any of these 3 drivers as they flick their way through Abbey. Heavy braking zone here into Village. This may be a little bit of an opportunity if someone wants it. Well, again, though, we see that Lamborghini looking very, very good on the binders, but here comes a little bit of a move to the inside for Ben Yosef. That didn't play out, and now the Lamborghini spins again.
A little bit too aggressive into the inside. He saw the gap. It was always going to be closing, I think, in panic. A little bit too much on the brakes whilst turning pretty much 180 degrees is never going to work out well for you. And pair that with the Lamborghini, which we already know and have seen, is a little bit unstable whilst turning. plus overheated tires from the spin earlier on last lap. It was just a recipe for disaster here.
Yeah, it certainly was. As we take a look back at the replay, a little bit off the apex coming down into Village and then into this corner, it looks like they're just a little bit too much speed carried into it, slammed on the binders to prevent himself from running into the car in front. I think that may have locked the rear axle a little bit, and that is just enough to be able to send that car around.
Yep, that looks like exactly what happened. A little bit of a tap as well from the driver behind. It looks like that might have been Levi, but looks like we're all back running again now. Not too much damage to anybody, so the race can resume as normal. Not even halfway through this race just yet. A little bit further back, we've got some battles going on here involving our McLaren of Zubrev. You can't miss that one out on the circuit, and a BMW just behind as well. A lot of the BMW drivers opting for that blue iRacing Israel League livery, which is fantastic, and it looks great when you've got them all next to each other, but then how do you expect us to tell you apart, guys?
Yeah,
Maybe
it makes
like a
our
little
job.
color on the mirrors or something.
Yeah, just trying to make our job as difficult as possible is I think what it is. But there you see that flame-spitting McLaren as it is trademark to do. Down into Stowe, working their way towards Club right now. Ooh, a little bit of a look there for Bertie Galili. He's certainly thinking about trying to make a move here on that McLaren. They've got to be a little bit careful. Tomer Ventura in the Ferrari as well, starting to become a part of this conversation as they run right now in 11th, 12th, and 13th. We ride on board here with Ventura, who sits in the popcorn position.
Yeah, had a brilliant view of what could be a very interesting battle ahead. Very different lines being taken by the two drivers in front, and that can always cause a couple of issues when you've got a driver taking a wider line into the corner, wider entry, and then you've got a driver going straight for the apex as quickly as possible. It can cause a couple of issues, as we saw earlier on with the Lamborghini of Capachado. But going down the Wellington straight, is anyone close enough to make a move? We've seen, yeah, just in the back, Ventura popping out for a second just to assess the situation, I think. But into Brooklands, a little bit of a twitch from the BMW. But so far, so clean for these four drivers as they catch up to the Audi in front.
Yep, they are certainly on to the back here of the Audi of Offer Mazouz as they continue to go here, ticking closer and closer to that halfway mark. A little bit of a look to the inside there for Mark Zubarev. He's going to send it down to the inside of Copse. That is not an easy move to do, but able to pull it off with the bravery, Mark Zubarev.
Absolutely brilliant stuff there, and you can see the BMW now just slightly dropping back as all the elbows come out, and the Ferrari is going to suffer. Audi touches the grass, and Mazouz is going off as well, and all carnage there, and another BMW off just behind too. So loads of things happening there in Maggots Beckett's Chapel. A couple of contacts being made, and we'll see what order that they rejoin the circuit in, but it looks like it wasn't too much hard contact, so I'm hoping everyone hasn't got too much damage and can still continue on.
I'm hoping that as well for all of these drivers. We're going to check out a replay here. This is coming down into the corner. We watch Tomer Ventura. A little bit of an over-aggressive move there coming down into Maggots. Holds it up behind and then tries to see that door that was going to open. And that's kind of what sends the pinball all around.
And then you've got Yaron as well, who spun completely independently of this down at Chapel and has been overtaken by these three drivers of Zubarev, Galili, and Ventura.
Certainly has, as now we check in on Nadav Yaron right now, holding off Amir Hazet. Contact, and that's going to spin Yaron around. A little bit of how you doing there, and that is going to be enough to send that number 22 off into the area of the track that he does not want to be.
Yeah, a little bit of help around there. I saw the stricken car on the outside as the group we were watching was making their way through, but yeah, no, a little bit of help there, and that's not going to be helping their chances at all of gaining some good points in this round. There's a couple of isolated, completely separate incidents, but all happening at the same time at the same part of the track.
Yeah, we haven't really seen anything fire off here that's collected the whole field, and indeed up in the top 7, pretty big gaps as they run, all gaps over a second here as they go. But here is your leader, John Chico, with a gap of about 4.2 seconds, absolutely dominant at the front of the field, and that's frankly something that we've come used to seeing here from Chico. He is a pretty sizable force here on the iRacing Israel League.
Yep, and now making his way through Stowe is Shirley. And Shirley, the top or second driver from the last time we ran the GT3s in this series back in Season 5, but our top driver, our champion from Season 5, Dorian Tabashnik, not here today, so I'm going to go with Shirley as the top-rated driver from the last time we used GT3s in the field today, and doing pretty good job. Last time round, personal best lap for him as well, and trying to catch up to Chico is going to be a very difficult task, but fellow BMW driver Sione making a run at Shirley as well, trying to catch up, trying to maybe gain a spot up on the podium, but those three running fairly comfortably up at the top at the moment.
Yeah, running fairly comfortably. Want to give a big credit here to Tal Stern, who is up a whopping 7 positions on the day, holding off a little bit of a look here from Ben Yosef. Not sure if that's actually going to come to anything here for Ben Yosef, but we'll have to see. Yeah, up 7 positions. Our big mover on the day, Arnon Levi, who is up 8 positions. Our biggest loser at this point is Amir Hassed, who is down 9. But things starting to fan out just a little bit over the course of the field. Actually want to draw your attention a little bit farther back in the field. Yossi Gabe looks like he's in a pretty fierce scrap here with Everin Papachado. That looks like to be the battle to be watching here. As there you see it, and just as I call it, the 2 Lamborghinis going side by side down in through Luffield. Almost contact there between the two, but it's going to be Yossi Gabe that gets the better hand for now.
Just about, but he got a whole bunch of wheel spin on the exit of Luffield. Now through Woodcote they go, and almost touching bumpers as they make their way into Cops. We've seen this before, side by side through the fast right hand. They can try to get a good exit and get ahead all side by side into Maggots Beckett's Chapel. It's not going to be just this time, but if you can stay close and stay compact through this left, right, left sequence, it goes on and on and on. But can we see a move being made here on the exit through the long right-hander at Beckett's, and now into Chapel, the left onto the hangar straight. Not quite a good exit, but still enough that he's in the draft and closing down the hangar straight.
Closing in here a little bit, but as you said there, Dane, I don't think quite enough to be able to close the gap completely and make this a true-on battle as they come through Stowe right now. But that's going to be a wide run there for Yossi Gabe. That's going to open up the door to Avram Papachado. Papachado's going to look the long way around Club. We've seen this move try to play out a little bit before. Is he able to stick his nose down to the inside? No! Good defense there from Gabe.
I've no idea how he hasn't chopped the nose off Papachado there and spun himself around. He very nearly caught the front bumper, but just about had enough space to cut down in front of the fellow Lamborghini behind and keep that position. And really good defensive driving, really good offensive driving as well by Papachado, it has to be said. They've only got a few minutes left of this race to try and make a couple of laps maybe, to try and make that move, and he's going to go for it again, down the inside into the loop, and just not quite close enough to make it work.
Not quite close enough to make it work, and I've got to say here, with only about 5 minutes remaining, I wouldn't be taking so many chances if I were Avram Papachado. I would much rather try to line up a little bit of a pass here, set it out a little bit longer, and see what I was able to do at that point, as I think he's costing himself positions, but he is going to take a little bit of a later apex here down into Brooklands. He's going to be able to close and diamond off the corner through Luffield, but it looks like that's going to cost him some time.
Yep, it can be tricky, especially once you've gone for a couple moves off the racing line. You've heated your tires up a little bit more than they'd like to be. It can be tricky to then cool yourself back down and just think, okay, I've got to sit back for a lap or so and then try and make another move, set myself up for a pass that's really going to give me a good chance, because a couple of opportunities that we've seen have come from Goodbye making a couple mistakes. If you just keep the pressure up, but not too hard that his tires absolutely fall off, he's going to have a much better opportunity when that does arise. And the 17 in front, a little bit loose through Magnus Beckett's Chapel. And that gap continues to close down the hangar straight. Not close enough to send a move just yet. Still a car's length in it. Still looking towards the inside. Maybe just try to get that Lamborghini all in the mirrors of Goodbye in front.
Yeah, trying to fill up that rear view mirror, that rear view camera as much as possible. See if he can maybe force a mistake here out of the number 17. But I've got to give credit to Gabe. He has done a fantastic job at holding him off here for the moment. Let's see. Oh, my goodness. What has happened there to Papachado? I'm not sure entirely. I just saw that car skidding off into the gravel.
Has he hit the curb on the inside? I think that's the only logical explanation there, because that car just snapped and threw it off into the outside runoff area. I've never seen anything quite like that. I think the only explanation is he's got off-sighted by Goodbye in front, and he sent the car off into the curb. So that was a really odd one there. But now he's got pressure on because this group we were looking at earlier, led by Zubrev, is right back on his tail again.
Yeah, Mark Zubarev now still under pressure here from Bertie Galili, but he is going to get the benefit of the tow here up in front from Averin Papachado, and so that's going to help him pull along here. But it is Zubarev, Galili, Ventura, and Yaron not too far behind there in the BMW. If these three come to blows, or these four come to blows, Yaron may be able to get himself into this equation. But I believe here we're probably only going to have 1 or 2 laps to go with the line, so if you want to make a move, now is the time.
Yep, absolutely. I just got back and had a look, and it was the curb on the inside of the final corner, the big red sausage curb. He's just got over that, has Papachado, and it's sent him off into the runoff area. And that Lamborghini, already not on the best tyres in the world, it's thrown him straight off and around. And luckily, he's kept it up, and he's not lost any points. He just has lost the opportunity to overtake Yossi Gabais. So looking back at Zubrev, still leading this pack in that McLaren, doing a very clean line through Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel. The same cannot be said for Bertie Galili, who's now definitely under pressure down the hangar straight from Ventura, who's already looking to the left side.
And this is a crucial position, remember, because this is P10. This will be first place in the second race, courtesy of the invert. And there, around the outside, goes the number 13 Ferrari of Tomer Ventura, making it look easy, but he runs a little bit wide on the exit of Stowe. Is he going to be able to hold this line? Ooh, bumping doors in between the two as Ventura tries to send it in, but identifies the braking zone, and that forces him off into the outside gravel. And now Galili finds himself back down in 12th.
He's not just lost the 2 positions, like you said, he's lost 11 spaces on the grid for race number 2. Absolute travesty for the 420 driver there in the BMW. Has a little bit of time to try and catch back up, but it's probably not going to be enough. The Audi just behind in 13th position. These drivers all bunched up, remember, through Maggots, Beckett's Chapel a few laps ago when they had their first off, and another off again for the driver who was, at the start of the last lap, in 10th position.
And we've got a little battle here precipitated by what I believe was a mistake from Tal Stern that has allowed for Ben Yosef to be able to catch up to the back of this Mercedes as they work their way now down past the old pit lane entry and continue to fly their way down the old pit lane straight. This could be a good battle playing itself out, a battle of 2 front engine machines. Good lines there through Cobbs. Ben Yosef may have been able to close in a little bit more, but let's see how he handles the arrow wash through Maggots and Beckett's.
Yep, and that is a real concern if you're following someone through here. Not only are you going to have not quite the best amount of grip, but because of that, your tires are sliding more, they're overheating more, and that just compounds the issue further. And yeah, not the best line to follow a car through that part of the circuit. Are we going to see another lap, or is this the end of the 20 minutes for race number 1 as Chico a little bit further ahead of these drivers? I think he might have just got the final lap, the white flag, as he came to cross the line.
Yeah, I think he did. So we have 1 more lap in store for all of these drivers. Chico up at the front of the field, just setting down the pace, 8 seconds ahead of Michael Scherling, showing it how it is done here in this Mercedes-AMG GT3 Evo, doing a fantastic job in the 0-4.
Yep, lovely big gap up at the front, as pretty much dominated from start to finish. A really good race launch, but now the question has to be asked, how's he going to fare with this reverse grid coming up? 10th place on the grid. He'll be starting if he can hold it on for the final half of a lap here. That's no easy task.
No, it's certainly not. This Silverstone circuit can absolutely catch you out at any point if you are not careful. By the way, a little bit farther back, Ben Yosef looked like he's made a little bit of an error, and he has fallen back about 0.6 of a second behind Tal Stern. So I think this battle is relatively decided here at this point, unless we see an error out of Tal Stern in front of him.
Getting much closer than I would be comfortable with if I was in that Mercedes AMG right there. You've got BMW, which is already a pretty wide-looking car from inside the cockpit. It is filling up the mirrors of the Mercedes in front, trying to make it a BMW 2, 3, and 4. When the Mercedes holding on for now, going through Maggots, Beckett, and Chapel, they will be in a second's time. And this is really the most tricky part now, because you've got a BMW right behind you. You've got a car, you know it's the last lap. You've just got to hold on for this stretch, but it's so easy to make a mistake through here.
Yeah, so easy to make a mistake, but we've got to give a little bit of love here up to our leader, John Chico, as he makes his way through club right now. Your leader of the race in the 0-4 machine, out of the right-hander, and he will take victory here in race number 1. 9 seconds behind him will be Michael Scherling. It'll be a long run back there to the BMW, but now as he makes his way out of the final corner, he will see the checkered flag, and then it will be Ransoni rounding out your top 3.
And just about holding on here in 4th position, Tal Stern is gonna finish in 4th there in that Mercedes. Held off the last couple of laps from Ben Joseph after a little bit of an error. And the BMWs do not stop coming in as Levi finishes in 6th position there as well. Then it's the Lambo's turn, and Papichotto keeps hold of that 8th position at the end.
It'll be Mark Zubarev in 9th, and then Nadav Yaron in that crucial 10th place position that will see him start on pole position for race number 2. Bertie Galili going to cross over the line here in 11th place, and then we've got to wait a couple of more seconds for Tomer Ventura in the lone Ferrari in the field to cross over as he takes 12th. From Azus will be in 13th, and then we focus back here on Aiden Scherer, who will cross over in the number 2 in 14th position. One little final battle to really keep our eyes on Dror Last and Yarmakov trying to make their way through the corners right now, and they come out of club and they will cross the line 15th and 16th.
And the final car to cross the line is going to be that 959 of Hesed, and it's not been a good race for this opening race at Silverstone, I should say. For the Audis, they've not had as much pace as maybe some of the other cars, so we'll see what they can do. They'll not make the reverse grid. They'll have to fight their way back from the back of the pack.
Yeah, they will indeed have to fight their way from the back of the pack, and we will see how successful they are able to be here in just a few moments' time as we get ready for race number 2. As promised, Nadav Yaron will start off in pole position, followed by Mark Zubarev. Then it's Avram Papachotto and Yossi Gabay. Arnon Levi starts off in 5th, followed by Ben Yosef in 6th, then Tal Stern and Ransoni. It'll be Michael Scherling in 9th, followed by John Chico, rounding out your top 10. Bertie Galili will line off in 11th, and then Tomer Ventura will be 12th. From Azus will be in 13th with Aiden Scherer in 14th. 15th is Dror Last. Aviad Yarmakov will be 16th, and Amir Hesed will round out your 17-car grid. Well, Dane, we've got one race down, one to go, and I think the storyline here from my perspectives is just minimize those mistakes, and you will find yourself having a good race.
Yep, and it's something that John Chico, Michael Scherling, Rancioni, those guys who finished up at the front of race number 1 are going to have to look out for in race 2. They've got to go through a lot of drivers to make it back up to the front of the field if they want to score some good points here, and especially Chico wants to try and hold on to that championship lead. Oh, what is going on? As we've got drivers around, there's drivers overtaking each other on the pace lap as we're about to get green. There's a car backwards.
I have no earthly idea what has happened here. Nadav Yaron, will bring you a replay later of that incident. Nadav Yaron still up at the front of the field. It says nothing has gone wrong, and as far as I know, he is inclined to get onto the loud pedal and get going as the green comes out, and big wiggles there coming out of club.
Whoa!
Oh, as there's a spin in the back. I believe that's Ransoni around into the wall. My goodness, everything flying off here, and there's Mark Zubarev losing it.
I think everybody just needs to take a pause for a second and try and figure out what is going on. I think we just had another car going off at turn 1 as well. But where are our leaders from the last race? Because I think they were held up behind the spun around Mercedes at the beginning. I have no idea what's going on. Zubarev's got it back going again. But absolute calamity at the beginning of the race, before the race even started. Half the field weren't even past Stowe by the time the leaders were going through the final corner.
You're very right, and by the way, to answer your question, John Chico finds himself in 11th right now, all the way down through the field. We just saw Mark Zubarev be able to send a pass there on Yarmakov to be able to get that move done and move himself up ahead. Arnon Levi and Amir Hesed now onto the back here of Yarmakov's Lamborghini, and so that's going to start the battle here. A little bit of a twitch from Arnon Levi as they came down through the corner. This has been one of the most perplexing starts to the race I've ever seen.
But who is out there leading at the moment? It is none other than Yaron. And Yaron was tied first in the championship with John Chico. So as it stands right now, they're still tied in the championship after the second race, unless Chico can try and get a move on. It hasn't been the best race one for Jeroen, but got onto pole position for the second race. And that big gap now between Chico and some of the other drivers is going to give Jeroen a little bit of extra time where Chico's not overtaking more drivers and hopefully not gaining too many more points.
Replay of that start.
All right, we're going to go back here and take a look at the start and try to figure out exactly what went on here. As cars start to peel away, there you see it looked like a little bit of a delay, and it looks like that was Chico that got hit from behind
Ventura.
by the Ferrari. It was Tomer Ventura that just appeared to be a little bit overeager and spun the Mercedes around.
Yeah, and I think it was one of the other drivers has just not taken the start of the race. Maybe some hardware issues. It was the Lamborghini. I couldn't quite make out if it was... I think it might have been Papuchado there. And it just didn't go. And I think there was a bit of confusion on the other lane as well. The drivers all behind on the left-hand side of our screen, on the right lane on track, were also incredibly confused. Why are we not going? But everyone else is. And I think Ventura has just not seen that. It was Papuchado who didn't take the start there. We can see on the timing tower, but complete confusion from everyone involved except Jeroen. I think it's fair to say Jeroen knew exactly what he was doing. I'm going and I'm starting the race. We've got more battles going on here on this second lap.
Yeah, this is Aiden Scher leading Tal Stern, leading Mark Zubarev right now. Excuse me, Scherling, Scheer, and Stern, the three S's as it were. And that is Scherling being able to build a little bit of a gap. We now watch Tal Stern in the Mercedes trying to be able to get his way on by a little bit. Bit wide there, coming through Cops, but he may be able to carry enough speed here to make that work. Let's see if he pokes his nose down to the inside here, coming through Maggots and Beckett's. That's not going to play itself out. But yeah, the theme of this race here at this point is confusion. The field is so spread out at this point. Oh, that's a wide run there for Aiden Scher, and that's going to send him off and give Tal Stern the position. And don't look now, but Mark Zubarev may have something to say about this coming down the hangar straight.
Yeah, really slow down the straight is the BMW. The McLaren is definitely going to pounce. You would be a fool not to. Down the inside, the flames being spat out the back at the driver as you overtake them. It's almost like a little bit of taunting going on from the McLaren as you overtake people. But yeah, down into the chicane now, and a lovely move up into 6th position, trying to gain some of the positions back from what was a very odd turn 1 spin at the beginning of the race. I think a lot of drivers maybe not getting the temperature into the tires that they needed, but yeah, just a very odd situation all round at the beginning. Meanwhile, Yossi Gabai in the Lamborghini, excuse me, has just set the fastest lap of the race. And as I say that, John Chico's gone unbeaten.
Well, but what's crucial here for Yossi Gabai is he's able to do that on the way to maybe putting up a little bit of a challenge here to Nadav Jeroen up at the front of the field. Yeah. Jeroen's going to go a little bit defensive down into Brooklands, but it's not going to be an attack here from Yossi Gabai. Gabai is going to try to see what he can do here, taking a later apex down into Luffield. Let's see if he's able to get a good drive out of the corner. Kicks up a little bit of dirt there on the exit of the corner, and I think that little bit is going to cost him a chance to be able to get an attack done.
Yeah, for the time being at least. But what we saw from Yossi in race number 1 was some incredibly good defensive driving. Obviously, that's not going to help too much now, but should he get ahead, it could be very crucial for him. He's also got a lovely 3-second gap to the next driver behind Ben Joseph. So it should be a little bit of a safety net that he can go for a move, and if it doesn't work out, it's okay. He's not the end of the world. He's not going to lose too much time to the drivers behind. Are we going to go 3 wide through Cops? Guys, it's probably not the best idea as they just about make it through 2 wide. And they're side by side again as we watch Sione try and make some moves here.
Well, Ransoni with a little bit of damage to the front of that BMW is going to try to see if he's got a little bit of an advantage into Maggots. He's going to have to back out of it. Keeps the pressure onto the back of Mazouz up ahead of him. It looks like that's not going to come to anything here, but coming on like a train with a full head of steam here is Amir Hassed behind them. Is he going to make them pay a little bit, put a little bit of pressure to the back? It doesn't look like he got the run there out of Beckett's that he would have liked, but here comes the BMW. Meanwhile, we've got a slow Lamborghini on the straightaway. That is Yarmakov. Amir Hassed losing position, Mazouz losing position, and Ransoni up into 10th.
Yeah, back up into 10th position there for Sione. And almost getting A little bit of a tap from behind from the Audi, the green and white Audi behind of Masuz, and Masuz now under some pressure from Hased as the Audis try and sort themselves out through these final couple of corners. It's still super tight up at the front though, only a couple tenths of a second between them.
Oh, and here comes a good run from Yossi Gabay as they come down into Brooklands. Let's see. No, he's not going to take the look there again. But I've got to say, I like this out of Yossi Gabay. He's keeping up consistent pressure to the back of Nadav Yaron and just seeing if he can cause a little bit of break in concentration.
Yeah, it's only a matter of time. You put your car on the bumper of the driver in front, it is only a matter of time until they make some kind of mistake, because they know you're there, and that's always in the back or in the front of their mind, and it's always going to take a little bit of concentration away from them, as we've got the two BMWs now going side by side almost through Luffield and down the National Straight in towards Cops. It looks like he's got a good run of speed and trying to make something happen here. Levi, it's not quite going to work out for him. Into Cops, has to back out of that one, but it's wide from the driver in front. May well be a slowdown penalty. It's the slowdown penalty there is just past the white triangle curbs, and I think he's just about got away with that one.
I think he's just about gotten away with it as well as they look down into the corner. Looks like there's still a little bit of an attack from Arno and Levi as they push their way ahead. Ensure up ahead in front right now as they fly down towards Stowe on the Hangar Straight. This isn't going to be enough to get the draft here to work necessarily, and I don't think we're going to see a move as we've got to focus up the road a little bit as John Chico continues his progress up through the field. Now sending a move to the inside of Mark Zubarev down into Club. Going to outbreak the McLaren, and that's as easy as you please.
Meanwhile, having a little bit of a look here, you can see Chico making some positions, making up some good positions here, and doing some good progress as well. You can see now has eyes set on the Mercedes of Tal Stern to get up into the top 5, and all of this, remember, after literally facing the wrong direction when the green flag was waved.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. It really just goes to show you just how talented of a driver he is to be able to get his way and get his way up here at this point. But now we've got to focus back in on the battle for the lead here because Yossi Gabay continuing to apply pressure to the back of Nadav Yaron. And it is just consistent, it is constant, and it is good stuff here from Yossi Gabay. We're not halfway done with this race. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a move here play out before things are said and done.
Looking once again, very different lines, just trying to fill the mirrors once again in that Lamborghini. A couple taps of the brake pedal there, and ooh, a very odd line by the BMW. Side by side almost heading into Magus Beckett's now, and obviously has to back out of that one. There's no way two cars make it side by side at any rate of good speed through this part of the circuit. Trying to get a good exit now is Goodbye, and I think he's done a pretty good job of that. The BMW in front definitely not extending the advantage by any means. Now in the draft again and closing down the Hangar Straight. Not quite enough to make a move into Stowe, but enough to stay on the back and again just keep up that constant pressure that he's had over the last few laps.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's got to do here at this point. And I thought for a second that entry down into Maggots was going to be enough to be able to get Gabay on by, as the compromised line out of Nadav Yaron was really going to hurt him going through that high-speed section. But credit there to the number 22 BMW driver of Yaron to really be able to keep that car pointed in the right direction and get through those corners well. Gabay here holding at about 2.5 tenths of a second behind right now as they fly their way through Abbey. Let's see if we see an attack here. He's carrying some good momentum. Car looked like it wanted to get a little bit sideways there on the exit of Farm Curve, but he's able to keep it going again. And there we see those alternate lines, just different ways to fill that rear view mirror.
Oh, he's got up the inside in towards the left-hand kink. Onto the Wellington Straight they go, and oh, Yaron is off and into the grass, just about gets back on. And has to settle for second place there. I wonder what happened. They just didn't get a good exit out of the loop at all.
I think that may have been a result of looking in the rear view mirror, because Yossi Gabay was able to send that car a little bit wider coming through the loop. And as they came through Aintree, I just think it caused Nadav Yaron to not be focused down on the apex, loses concentration for a split second, and that was going to be enough to throw it off. Let's take a look at the replay here. Here is Gabay coming in on that longer line. Now he's going to get down to the inside there a little bit. There's a twitch from the BMW, and Gabay just able to force his way way through, muscle his way through, and that was enough to send Yaron behind. Brilliant stuff there from the 17.
Now has about 10 minutes to try and hold on to the new race lead. And we saw some good defensive driving from earlier on. Let's see if we can see that once again, as now we've got Sherling and Ben Yosef going at it. Sherling just behind the two BMWs, trying to see who's going to take that third step on the podium.
Yeah, this is the battle for P3 right now. Sherling, the trailing car. BMW versus BMW. Look to the one way, look to the other, and a dive down to the inside coming into Stowe. Is that going to be enough to play itself out here? We look as Sherling doesn't have a nose ahead as they come down into the braking here. Oh, contact between the two, and Sherling gets spun.
And you could almost always see it happen. He just took slightly too tight of a line, didn't quite leave a maximum amount of room for Ben Yosef there, and Ben Yosef ended up in that vortex of danger on the inside as Sherling turned in. Very tricky for those two drivers, and Sherling unfortunately loses out on this occasion. But what has that done? John Chico is now within touching distance of the driver in fourth position, and then he only has a couple extra seconds to get up to third. We could see Chico from backwards at the race start to the podium positions, and we're only 13 minutes in.
We are only 13 minutes in, about 7 minutes left to go, so we could see Chico certainly move his way up forward. This is not out of the realm of possibility to see your leader from race one back on and into podium positions. And as you said earlier, talk about an amazing request, or talk about an amazing drive up through the order. He was faced the wrong way around.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. We'll have to see. I'm going to have to get the replay of this and see if I can get an onboard shot from start to finish of this race. Because green flag, that car was definitely facing the wrong way, and now pulling out absolutely insane lap times. Sherling has had a bit of a mare through Cop's corner as well, that you can see all the way off into the runoff. And Chico really flying out there at the moment. Not too far off the race lead in terms of time. You'd think, having started right near the back and being in 11th at the start of the race, that he would be a bit further back, but he's not. He's almost catching to the race leaders at this point.
Yeah, he certainly is. He is on a charge. He is just, it's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And it goes to show you the talent here out of this number 04 machine. He is just absolutely putting that car where it needs to be. And by the way, as you can see there on your screen, holds the fastest lap of the race just for good measure as well.
Yep, like I said, putting in fantastic lap times, and second place in the last season, season 9 in those F4 cars, and oh, that's definitely carrying over to this season as well. Ruven Chachishvili, who ended up winning that, isn't here, and so John Chico has more than taken up the reins as the new #1 driver in the iRacing Israel League. Joint top of the standings after the first round. He is going to be well at the top of the standings after this one.
Yeah, he's going to skyrocket his way up forward, and Nadav Yaron, who came into these 2 rounds in second place, is going to have it all to do. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. John Chico still has to pass Michael Sherling here, and he's only got about 5 minutes yet to do it. And we are talking about plenty of a circuit where there are plenty of opportunities to throw it wrong. We haven't seen Chico made a mistake yet, but that doesn't mean that one couldn't be coming.
Yep, that is very, very true. But look at the gap as he closes in on Michael Sherling. His tyres are not in the best place. Let's be real here. That spin, a little bit of contact, but yeah, the spin at the chicane has really not done any wonders for those tyres on the 200 machine. And well, Chico's just been flying through the back, and looks like absolutely nothing could stop him in that Mercedes. Already in 5th position, both drivers running a little bit wide. Sherling trying to do everything he can to stay in front, but I think it's definitely a matter of when, not if at this point, as to when Chico does get past.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We've seen the outright speed from John Chico, and plenty of time for him to be able to catch in. Look at this. He has got the great run there out of the corner as they go onto the hanger straight. He's going to look down to the inside, trying to see what he's able to do. He's going to try to be later on the binders, going down into Stowe corner, and he's got the position done. Move John Chico up into P4.
Absolutely fantastic from John Chico, and well, the podium is not out of his reach as we have 4 minutes or so left in the race. and not a massive amount of time between himself and Ben Yosef, I'm seeing. Not a huge amount of time there. It might be close, but realistically, can he make his way up onto the podium?
Well, if anybody can do it in this field, I'd put my money on John Chico being able to do it, so we will have to wait and see. There you can kind of visually see the gap on your screen as they work their way into Village right now. Chico just trying to work his way ahead. Ben Yosef, by the way, is trying to work his way around right now. There's a little bit of lap traffic, I believe, up in front of them that could be slowing them down just a little bit, but here we're going to look a little farther up in the field. This is Ben Yosef off and by his lonesome. No, excuse me. I guess that was some cars up ahead. My eyes playing tricks on me. The gap right now, though, 1.5 seconds. And in what could be a lap, what could be 2 laps, we'll have to see. Good battle farther back in the field, though. Tal Stern holding off Mark Zubarev there in the McLaren.
Yeah, the McLaren looking left and looking right to try and make a move here, and it's not quite working out for him. Looking for that 6th position by the end of this race, and you see there another little look to the inside into Cobbs. Obviously not going for a move there, but just having a bit of a look, maybe getting some clear air before the corner, before the turn in. But yeah, that bright orange McLaren livery not going amiss in the mirrors of Stern, that is for sure. And through Magus, Beckett, Chapel, they will go now back onto the hangar straight. Zubarev dropping off ever so slightly, 0.6 of a second now the gap between them. But the McLaren looking good in a straight line, and maybe try to see what he can do and regain that advantage, try and get something heading into this last couple of laps here.
Yeah, in the last couple of laps, and I do believe at this point that we will be coming to the white flag here as Gabay is just now crossing the start-finish line. Oh, that was a mistake! A rare mistake there out of John Chico, locking it up, coming down through Club, and could that have cost him the chance at a podium?
It may well could have there. His tyres are not going to be in a good spot, and Shirley might be looking now thinking, oh, his tyres aren't looking too good for right now, might be able to make something of this if he makes another little mistake. But I think for Chico, 4th might just be the ceiling that he's reached, having started to race backwards, which is still an absolutely insane thing to be saying. But Ben Yosef, still a lot of pressure with Chico behind you, even though it's now just over a second of a gap between the two of them. You still always feel like that driver's got something special up their sleeve. Someone we haven't talked about in a while is now back onto the screen. That's because he's just been extending his advantage out in the front with absolutely not a care in the ball. He's in the number 17 Lamborghini, and it's Yossi Gabay, and he's had a fantastic race here.
Yeah, he really has. Able to send that move on Nadav Yaron after just applying constant pressure to the back of him. And now at this point, he is just absolutely pushing his way ahead and doing everything that he can do to really and truly try to be able to push. He now is coming with about 30 seconds left to go down into Maggots and Beckett's as they run. It looks like he's going to have plenty of room here to be able to make this work, and I think he will be coming to the checkered flag here if my math is correct, with 20 seconds left to go on the clock.
They couldn't quite make out Barney the flag man. He's in a bit of an isolated spot here at Silverstone. You can't really see it very well from the TV cameras, so we're not sure if the white flag did eventually come out. But with only 3 seconds left to go, you can pretty much say for certain this is the last couple of corners. And oh, it's John Chico up the inside for 3rd position into Stowe. Where did that come from?
I think it was just a bad run there from Ben Yosef coming through Maggots and Beckett's, but Yossi Gabay up at the front of the field right now. He's going to come out of the final corner, and Gabay will take a commanding victory in race number 2 at Silverstone. Nadav Yaron comes home in 2nd behind them, and the most extraordinary of extraordinary, John Chico, able to get a podium position after starting this race faced the wrong way.
What has happened? Was it a slowdown? What? How did he get there in time for that move into Stowe? That was insane.
Behind Sherling now?
So he's behind Sherling.
I think it must have been. It must have been a slowdown penalty coming through the corner as he holds off the attack here from Sherling.
Up before?
Then this is the lap before. I'm not sure what happened. That is just absolutely remarkable.
It wasn't a slowdown. It was just a bad run. It was just a bad run. He's just gone for an absolute send down the inside into Stowe. That is insane. That is insanity. How has he gone for that? The door was closed already, but he found just about enough space for that Mercedes to fit in, and you know that he sent it. And he's held it on as well. That is absolutely insanity.
Absolute insanity. Credit where credit is due to John Chico. We didn't think that was possible, and he absolutely made it work. Wow, John Chico with an amazing, amazing run there to finish it out. Let's finish out and see what we can see what they do as they run. Yeah, let's check and see. All right, so this is Ben Yosef coming out of Luffield right there and through Woodcut. Now, we should be seeing this mistake, I believe, taking place a little bit later on. It should be coming here through Cops.
Yeah, no slowdown there. That's for sure.
No slowdown there. Was this coming through Maggots and Beckett's? That's what I'm anticipating it being.
That looked good to me, coming through the left-hander. It's like not even that far on the curbs. It must just be a bit of wheel spin or something.
It's a bad run there.
I don't think this is the right lap either then.
No.
This is...
I skipped to the next, to the last lap.
Here we go.
Yeah, so he just got
It's
it
just
wrong.
the run.
Yeah, it's just the run. He just got it wrong coming through Maggots and Beckett's. My goodness gracious. And there you see John Chico just taking advantage. He tries to cut him down to the inside. Credit there to Ben Yosef to make it work. And John Chico not taking no for an answer.
That is insane. You can see he goes to the inside, Ben Yosef, almost as if Chico's still behind him. As if he hasn't even seen the Mercedes go through. He pulls to the inside as if to block, and Chico's already got through in the braking zone. That is insane. What a way to get a podium. But literally from starting backwards. He was backwards at Stowe before like the green flag came out. How has he managed to come back up into third? It's incredible.
Absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. Well, that is going to be the conclusion of our race, but we're not done quite yet. We've got a quick interview to be able to throw at you here, as there you see your final finishing order. It is Yossi Gabe taking home the victory above Nadav Yaron, John Chico, then Ben Yosef and Michael Scherling to round out your top five. Tal Stern was in sixth place, followed by Mark Zubarev, Arnon Levi, Rant Sony, and Aiden Shearer in 10th. Bertie Galili was 11th. Then Offer Mazouz, drawer last, Avidad Yarmakov, Papashato, Amir Hased, and Tomer Ventura round out your 17-car grid. And with that, we now have our interview with Rand Sony. Ran a ninth place there in the second race, a pretty good run in the first race as well. You've got to be feeling, I think, pretty good coming away with that. It looked like there were a lot of drivers having problems out there today?
Yeah, well, I feel great about the first race, not so good about the second one. There was a big mess, and I was in a bit of a struggle there. But yeah, that's what we have, and we're gonna have to work with that.
Well, talk to me a little bit about what it was like from your perspective there in that second race, the start in particular, because it looked like a big kerfluffle.
Yeah, well, in the first race, I felt good. I felt in pace. I was trying to pass Yossi a couple of times. At the second times coming into Brooklands, some cars spun, and I was just making a pass. And unfortunately for Yossi, was in the bad side of the track as far as the spun car that got stuck on the middle of the track goes. I was on the right side, so I managed to get through faster. And from there, it was just a clean pass straight into third into the end of the race. Yeah, second race was a big mess. I think I had damage from behind. I lost it coming into the last corner, or should we say the first corner into the start of the race when the pace car just went off. And I just spun, and I couldn't find the button to disable my traction control, so I couldn't spin the car, and I almost took out John with me, so it was a big mess. And after that, I really struggled with tire management and overheating in the front. So yeah, I finished ninth, and I think it's reasonable considering what just happened.
Reasonable indeed. But as for today, a great run there out for you. Who would you like to thank?
Yeah, thanks. I want to thank everybody that's taking part in the series, and of course for Tal for managing everything, and of course for you guys for broadcasting and doing such an amazing job.
Well, we are more than happy to. That was Ransoni here, your ninth place finisher and podium finisher from the first race. And now, Dane, I believe you've caught up with our winner from race number 2, Yossi Gabay.
Yeah, he joins me now, ditching the bright green racing machine for the GT3s, the Lamborghini at least. But it's done you a couple of favors there, Yossi, as race winner here in race number 2. Congrats.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Not light green yet in this season. I hadn't had the time to prepare one, but anyway, you know the drill.
Well, we'll see if we can get something sorted for you for the next couple of races. But regardless, a fantastic showing from you today. Brilliant defensive driving in race number 1. But talk to me about race number 2, just at the beginning, trying to get that race lead. How difficult was it to get a pass done?
Yeah, it's very difficult to pass in Silverstone anyway, and especially on those GT3 cars. So I just decided to follow him and wait for some mistake, or as eventually happened, I just found his weakest spot, weakest turn, and after I got behind him, I just attack him on the same turn.
Yeah, always the best way of trying to get past someone. Just figure out, sit behind for a couple of laps, figure out where they're weak, where they're strong, and then pounce when the opportunity arises. Quick word on the next round of the championship. We go to the very new circuit on iRacing, and it's going to be Rudskogen in Norway. Have you had any practice laps around that circuit yet? What are we feeling?
No, I haven't driven it yet, so I don't know how it is.
Lots of blind corners, lots of twisty bits as well, but very fun circuit. Probably more difficult to overtake there than it is at Silverstone, but we'll wait and see how that goes in a couple of weeks' time. Well, Yossi, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on that second position. Before we, that second race win even. Before we let you go, anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just all of you guys, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and we will see you again in a couple of weeks.
Yes, thank you very much.
Always great to hear from the drivers after the race, and that fantastic win, a dominant display from Yossi Gabay in that second race there, DJ.
Indeed, a fantastic run there from him and a fantastic run all the way around. But folks, that is about going to wrap us up for the iRacing Israel League here today. We will be back in 2 weeks' time for the race at Rudskogen. You are not going to want to miss that. A fun, fast, and technical track. It's going to be great to see these GT3s on it. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, as well as my colleague here in the booth, Dane Baird, and our director behind the scenes, Luis Araya, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action here today. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers, including Peter Berryman, John Robertson, Brandon Trano, and IndyCar World Champion Alex Palou. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best